She needs her real father, my wife said, so I accepted the transfer to France. The words sounded simple, but they destroyed something inside me that night. My wife stood in the kitchen, looking at me as if she had already made the decision for both of us. She needs her real father, she said quietly. I stared at her, unable to understand what she was asking me to do. Our daughter was upstairs, sleeping in the room I had painted for her with my own hands. For 11 years, I had been the man she called Dad. I had packed her lunches, attended her school meetings, taught her to ride a bicycle, and stayed awake beside her hospital bed. I had never once asked whether I was her real father. To me, being a father had never been about blood. It had been about being there. But that night, my wife reminded me that I was not the man who had given her life. And then she said something I will never forget. You should take the transfer to France. At first, I thought she was trying to hurt me. Then I saw the hesitation in her eyes. There was something she wasn't telling me. Something bigger than the transfer. Something connected to the man she called our daughter's real father. And within 24 hours, I made a decision that changed all our lives. My name is Daniel Carter, and until that night, I believed I had a happy family. I met Emily when she was 27. She was raising a little girl named Lily, who was only 4 years old. Lily had big brown eyes, a shy smile, and a habit of holding onto her mother's hand whenever strangers were around. Emily told me Lily's biological father had left before the child was born. He never wanted responsibility, she explained. I didn't ask too many questions. I simply told Emily that if she allowed me into their lives, I would never treat Lily like someone else's child. 3 years later, Emily and I got married. Lily was 7 then. On the morning of our wedding, she walked toward me carrying a tiny box. Inside was a cheap silver keychain shaped like a heart. I bought this for you, she whispered. Why? Because you're my dad now. I still remember how those words made me feel. I hugged her and promised her something. No matter what happens, I'll always be here. And I meant it. Years passed. Lily became a bright, intelligent teenager. I watched her grow from a little girl who couldn't tie her shoes into a young woman who dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. Every achievement she had, I celebrated. Every failure hurt me. When she got sick, I stayed beside her. When she was afraid, I held her hand. When she had her first school dance, I stood outside the house taking photographs while pretending I wasn't emotional. I thought I had earned the right to call myself her father. Then came that night. I had just returned from work when Emily said, "We need to talk." She was standing beside the kitchen window. I could tell something was wrong. What happened? She took a deep breath. Lily's biological father has contacted us. My heart stopped for a second. After all these years. She nodded. He lives in France. I laughed nervously. So what does he want? He wants to meet her. I looked toward the staircase. Lily was upstairs. I lowered my voice. And what does Lily want? Emily didn't answer. Instead, she looked directly into my eyes. She needs her real father. That sentence hit harder than anything I had ever heard. I sat down. Her real father. Emily immediately looked away. I didn't mean it like that. But you said it. I was angry. No, you were honest. She began crying. I didn't comfort her. Not because I didn't care. Because for the first time in 11 years, I didn't know where I stood in my own family. That night, I went into Lily's room while she was asleep. I stood beside her bed. I looked at the photographs on the wall. Her first bicycle. Her 8th birthday. Our family vacation. Her graduation ceremony. There was a picture of the two of us at the beach. She was smiling with her arms around my neck. I whispered, "Am I still your dad?" She moved slightly in her sleep. I walked out. The next morning, I received an email from my company. They were opening a major office in Paris and wanted an experienced manager to lead the transition. The position came with a huge promotion. Normally, I would have celebrated. Instead, I stared at the screen for several minutes. Then I called my supervisor. "I'll take it." He was surprised. "You're sure?" "Yes." I accepted the transfer to France. Not because I wanted to run away, but because I needed to know whether my family could survive without me. When I told Emily, she looked shocked. "You're really leaving? You told me she needs her real father." Emily's face went pale. "Daniel, please. I won't fight you." I packed quietly. But before I left, I wrote Lily a letter. I didn't tell her that I was leaving because of what her mother had said. I simply wrote, "Lily, I want you to know something. Being your father was never a title to me. It was the greatest responsibility of my life. I love you and I always will." I left the letter on her desk. The following morning, I flew to Paris. For 3 months, I worked harder than I ever had. I rented a small apartment. I learned the train system. I walked along the Seine after work. But every night I missed Lily. Then one evening my phone rang. It was Lily. I answered immediately. "Dad." That one word nearly broke me. "Yes, sweetheart." "Why did you leave?" I swallowed. "Because I thought you needed something I couldn't give you." She started crying. "I don't need another father." I closed my eyes. "Then why did your mother say that?" There was silence. Then Lily whispered, "Because she was trying to protect me." My heart began pounding. "Protect you from what?" "I don't know everything." "What do you know?" She hesitated. "Dad, the man in France isn't my biological father." I stood up. "What?" "He says he is. But he's not." "Then who is he?" Lily's voice trembled. "My mother knows." I immediately called Emily. She didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. Then I received a message. "Come home, we need to tell you everything." I flew back the next day. When I entered the house, Emily was sitting at the dining table. Lily was beside her. I looked at my daughter. She ran toward me. I hugged her tightly. "I thought you left because you didn't love me anymore." I whispered, "Never." Then Emily placed an old envelope on the table. Inside was a photograph. It showed Emily when she was 23. Beside her stood a man I had never seen before. Emily began crying. That man was my first husband. I stared at her. "What?" "We were married before I met you." My hands tightened around the photograph. "Then why did you tell me Lily's father abandoned you?" "He did." "Who is he?" Emily looked at Lily. "Your biological father died before you were born." The room became silent. I looked at Lily. She looked confused. "Then who contacted us from France?" Emily whispered, "His name is Victor." I felt cold. "Who is Victor?" "He was my first husband's brother." I couldn't speak. Emily continued. "After my husband died, Victor became obsessed with Lily. He believed she should belong to his family. He disappeared years ago, but he recently found us." I finally understood. The man in France wasn't Lily's father. He wanted to take her because of an old family dispute. And my wife had been terrified. She thought sending me away would keep me safe. But there was another secret. Emily looked at me. I didn't tell you everything because Victor threatened us. My anger disappeared. I realized her cruel words had been desperation. She hadn't wanted me gone. She had wanted me alive. But then came the part I never expected. The police discovered that Victor had been using false documents to claim parental rights. His plan was to convince Lily that I had abandoned her. He wanted to destroy the relationship between us before taking her to France. My decision to accept the transfer had almost helped him. Because for 3 months, Lily believed I had chosen work over her. That was his plan. He wanted her to feel unwanted. But he failed. Because love doesn't disappear just because someone creates distance. A few weeks later, Victor was arrested after investigators uncovered his forged documents and threats. The case became public. Emily apologized to me. I thought I was protecting my daughter. I took her hand. You should have trusted me enough to let me protect her with you. She nodded through tears. And Lily. She never called me her stepfather again. She simply called me Dad. Years have passed since that night. I still work in France, but now my family lives with me. Sometimes Lily jokes about the terrible French I spoke during my first year. Sometimes Emily and I argue about ordinary things. And sometimes, when I look at Lily, I remember the little girl who gave me that silver heart keychain. I still have it. It sits on my desk. Because that tiny piece of metal taught me something I will never forget. A father isn't always the man whose blood runs through a child's veins. Sometimes, a father is the man who stays when everyone else leaves. The man who holds the hand. The man who listens. The man who protects. The man who keeps his promise. And when my wife said she needs her real father, I thought she was telling me I wasn't enough. Instead, those words led me to the truth. And the truth showed me that I had never lost my daughter. I had only forgotten how deeply she loved me. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and share this story with someone who believes that family is built by love, not just by blood. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the people we call stepchildren become the greatest part of our lives.